Alright, so here we are out in the shop today. I've been doing some testing on the Faxon Firearms ARAK 21, which is what you see here. It's currently installed on the James Madison Tactical lower that I built. It's one of the 80% polymer lowers, which the lower itself has been functioning fine. Actually, perfectly, I should say. Let's get into the ARAK 21. It is a long stroke gas piston AR upper. Unlike any other AR, this one is basically self-sufficient. It doesn't require a buffer or buffer tube. It mounts on any standard AR lower. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. First off, currently installed on this upper, besides the Nikon scope, is a 20-inch 5.56 barrel. I bought two different barrels when I got this. Second barrel, which is a 16-inch medium contour 300 Blackout barrel. Let's take a quick look at this 300 Blackout barrel, because one, it's clean. I don't have to get totally dirty to do this. My 5.5, the gun itself, as I get into this, it's going to be dirty because I'm in the process of actually firing it and haven't cleaned it. But in order to adjust your gas setting, if it's tight, you can actually use the tip of a bullet, but this one's clean, so it adjusts fairly easily. This, they say never use it in this position here, and that's because that is the removal position. If you were to fire it, it would blow the plug out the end of the barrel. It's got a ball detent right here, which is spring loaded, and you can see the marks on here on the face of the gas block. The bolt goes in. This is the off position. Let's see here. I believe that is high, medium, and low. I'll have to double check. But it's very noticeable detents, comes apart in case you need to clean out the gas block. That's how that functions. Let's put this 300 Blackout barrel aside, and let's get this upper off of the lower and start taking a look at the function of this gun. This lower is a very tight fit, and the rear pivot pin is very recessed, so if I don't have a tool to get it apart, it's extremely difficult. But it's starting to break in, a little easier to come apart now. Alright, let's get that lower out of the way. You can see that there's currently no buffer in the buffer tube. I still have the retaining pin there because I do use this lower with other AR uppers, but the buffer tube itself is empty, which is one nice thing. If you're going to use in this upper, you can pitch your buffer and spring and drop a little bit of weight out of the lower. Alright, so one other thing I did not address already is that besides being a long stroke gas piston, this is also a forward charging handle upper. So if you have a malfunction, there's no need to come on, or if you need to rack around into the chamber, if you've got an empty chamber, there's no need to break your cheek weld to cycle the upper. You'll notice that even though it's not on a lower, everything seems to be working here. The charging handle, besides being forward, folds in out of the way, so when you're not using it, it does not have to be out. You can leave it out because it is also non-reciprocating. It stays in the forward position while you're firing. It doesn't move at all, which is another nice thing. Unlike some of the other guns on the market that have a forward charging handle, unfortunately some of those are reciprocating charging handles, and you'll find people with large bruises on their thumbs from getting smacked by the charging handle. Alright, so let's take this upper apart. This also has a pin here to take the upper apart. Just very similar to a standard AR takedown pin. This one is also captive, so you don't have to worry about losing it. When you pull that pin out, you will notice here on the rear there is a small piece. This actually holds the recoil spring in place. So in order to remove this, push it forward slightly and then down, and it will come out. Then your recoil spring comes out. As I said, if you're swapping calibers, you would remove this recoil spring from this rod, which I haven't done yet, so let's see how easy this is. There it is. You would just pull that recoil spring off of that rod. You'll notice it's actually a little two-parter. It's got a little piece up at the front here with an extra spring. Not sure if I'm assuming they're different spring rates, but not positive. So this piece here, you would swap onto the new recoil spring for whichever caliber you're using. Since I'm still using 5.56, I'm just going to put the 5.56 spring back on it. Set the recoil spring aside. Keeping this pin still pulled out, here is the bolt carrier. Like I said, this gun's dirty. I haven't touched this thing. I haven't removed it yet. Let's see how it comes right out. So, let's pull this out and take a quick look at it. Sit the upper side here. Like I said, this is a long stroke gas piston. I have been shooting this, and so the gun is dirty. I'm trying to keep my hands somewhat clean so I don't totally destroy my little gun rug here. The difference between a long stroke gas piston gun and a short stroke gas piston gun. On a long stroke, it means the piston itself is attached to the bolt or bolt carrier, very similar to like an AK. An AK is a long stroke gas piston gun. Most ARs most gas piston ARs are a short stroke design, meaning the gas piston is not attached to the bolt carrier. Like with my LWRC, the gas piston rides all on its own. It travels back a short distance, impacting the bolt carrier and sending it to the bolt carrier with the bolt installed. Unlike most ARs, this gun actually has a firing pin return spring, so which I kind of like that feature. I don't have to worry about slam fires or even getting light strikes on the firing pin from dropping the bolt. So in order to remove the firing pin to disassemble the bolt, there's a little lever right here. Push that down, and if I can push it down all the way, firing pin comes out. Looks like a standard AR firing pin. I haven't actually compared it to one. And then in the bolt carrier, it functions very similar to a standard AR. It rotates a slight degree, or just a little bit here when it locks in place, and then unlocked is forward. It has a little cam pin, very similar to an AR. That cam pin comes out. This cam pin is, however, different from an AR in that this one only fits in one way. You'll notice there is a rounded corner on the top of this cam pin. The other three corners are square. The rounded corner needs to go in the proper position, otherwise this thing will not function. Let's stick that aside. Once that's out, the bolt drops out. Looks very similar to standard AR, however, you'll notice there are no gas rings. Clearly no gas rings needed since it's a gas piston gun. Let's take a look here. The bolt face, see if I can get this to focus here. The bolt face, you'll notice that there's actually two ejectors and one extractor. The extractor is a little bit smaller. It does not have a locking lug on it like a standard AR. The bolt is 100% proprietary. Let's get this out of the way and see if I can get this thing to focus back where I was working. The return spring is there. The firing pin spring, excuse me, is in there. The actual bolt carrier return spring, recoil spring, slides into the piston. It actually goes in up to about here, where it tapers down for the actual piston part that fits into, let me grab this 300 Blackout barrel, that fits right in there. So that's essentially how the gun sits inside the receiver. The bolt carrier itself rides on two hardened steel rails that are bolted in place from the outside. Together. I can put the upper out of the way for a second. So let's put the bolt carrier back together. This is one of those things you have to pay attention to what you're doing when you're doing this. Unlike an AR, standard AR bolt, this bolt can be inserted either direction because they make uppers in right and left-handed. They use the same bolt carrier, same everything else. The only difference is the upper. So when you're installing this, you have to pay attention to what you're doing, because if you put it in incorrectly, you're going to have some major function issues, because the gun is going to try to eject out the left side of the upper when there's no actual, at least in my case, when there's no actual ejection port there. So when you're putting this together, just like an AR, you got to make sure that your extractor is on the same side of the bolt carrier as your ejection port. On this gun, it's going to be on the right side. So I drop that in, just like I would with a AR bolt carrier. Then I got to get my cam pin here, make sure I have the rounded corner facing the right direction, insert it, pull it forward just to make sure it's properly aligned, and then let's put the firing pin back in. There it is. And you see how freely the bolt moves in this bolt carrier. Without the gas rings, it moves very smoothly. I have not. I lubed this thing. I cleaned it and lubed it when I first got it, and since then I have not touched this thing. And you can see even after probably, I think I put 500 rounds to this thing, it's still moving nice and smoothly. There's no function issues there. One of the beauties of having a gas piston gun is none of that carbon and stuff gets back into the bolt carrier. So let's put the bolt and bolt carrier back into the upper. So the only thing, there's a little bit of play in this, which helps it run smoothly. But as you're inserting it, you got to make sure you align the tip of the piston with the gas tube. Once you got that in, slide it forward. Here's another fun part too, is trying to make sure you get the spring in, which I just did. Slide that forward until you get it down into the locking place. There it is. Slide the pin back, and you are back together. Put it back on the lower. And like I said, this installs on the lower just like any standard AR upper does. If I can align the hole here. There we go. And it's back together and functioning properly. Yeah. Interesting. Well, that's not good. That time it worked, but if the mag is touching anything, that could be the lower. I haven't. Ooh, that's hot. Resting this thing on the bag. That time it worked. Damn it, another malfunction. Alright, I'm going to see if I can get this to focus. I don't know if you can see in there, that is a funky double feed. Actually, that's not a double feed. That's a weird failure to extract. Alright, so I'm out here shooting the Facts on Firearms ARAK 21, and I've had quite a few failures to eject, a couple of weird malfunctions, a couple failures to extract, and just now I was shooting and felt very weird. The gun was pushing to the right significantly. After about 4 or 5 rounds, I decided to take a look, and I've noticed that my muzzle brake has come totally loose. And it was sitting with the bottom of it on the right side of the gun, thus every time I would fire it, it was pushing my gun to the right. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Alright, so when I was doing some of the accuracy testing there, I had a failure to chamber around, and it was getting very, very sticky, operating the bolt was, and I was trying to figure out why. And I now see why. Oh shit. Okay, so we got a couple problems here. The roll pin that holds the ejectors in has backed itself out by 1/8 of an inch, and I've now lost one of my ejectors. The spring is still in there, but the ejector itself is gone. So the roll pin, holy crap, I'm pulling it out with my finger. Okay, so I'm back out here at the range. I've got my Facts on Firearms ARAK 21. This is the second upper. The first one I had was having some difficulties and we could not sort it out. Working with the manufacturer, they had no idea what the problem was. So they sent me a new upper, and so far I've put quite a few rounds to this one and it's been 100% reliable. I have not experienced a single malfunction with it, which I'm very glad to say. So I'm going to run a bunch of different ammo through it. Different magazines, and we'll see how it runs today. This is Wolf's steel case. This, I believe, is American Eagle. Gold, different magazine. Alright, I'm going to just leave that right there. Alright, let's go back to swapping the barrel. There are 6 screws in the bottom of the receiver here that you need to change to pull out, that you need to pull out to change barrels. Try and do this without resting this on my scope. So actually, let me just do it laying down. Okay, yep, not all the way. So these screws are all captive. They aren't going to come falling out. And if you look in here, you'll be able to see that they drop down into a steel insert that is in the aluminum CNC. Actually, it's a steel helicoil that's in there. There's also 4 steel studs that align these two so that you don't put them on there incorrectly. Now, to remove the barrel, pull it slightly forward and lift it out. Set my 223 barrel aside. Get the 300 Blackout barrel. I found it a little bit easier if you start the rear, drop it down in, and then slide it back in. Slide it in as far as it'll go. Screw the receiver back on. The lower part of the upper back on. The nice thing about the helicoils that are in there is at least you don't have to worry about stripping out the upper when you tighten these, or from taking this apart and putting it back together. The helicoils will keep the threads clean. Much easier, or much more difficult to strip them out than it is to strip out aluminum threads. Alright, that is back together. Now let's put the bolt in here. Alright, so now that I've got the 300 Blackout barrel in there, I need to put the 300 Blackout recoil spring on the guide rod here. Okay. Alright, let's put this on the lower and we can start shooting. Alrighty, there she blows. Okay, got done doing the caliber swap. This is a 16-inch 300 Blackout barrel. I just got done zeroing the rifle. I'm actually quite surprised at the difference in where the 2 rounds print with using the same optic, going from the 20-inch 5.56 barrel to the 16-inch 300 Blackout barrel. I was hitting over a foot low at 50 yards. So it took quite a bit of adjustment to get it zeroed out, but I'm zeroed and it seems to be printing pretty well. So let me run a 5-round group on a fresh target and see what I can do. By the way, the ammo I'm using here, speaking of difficulties, trying to find 300 Blackout ammo is kind of difficult right now, especially if you want to pay anything remotely reasonably priced. I lucked out and stumbled across a company called Ozark Ordnance. They have multiple different loads. It's all once-fired military brass that's been recased to 300 Blackout. Currently, I'm shooting, these are, let me double check, 147 grain full metal jacket. I'm not sure, let's see. Yeah, just FMJs, I don't know if these are boat tail or not. 147 grain full metal jacket rounds. I also have a couple other loads of theirs. I have a 150 grain soft point hunting round that they've got, and then I've also got a 110 grain, it's actually kind of almost a round ball nose round that I've actually, it feeds very well. I wasn't sure how well it would feed looking at the projectile. I'll pull some of those out here later and show you. But anyway, so I'm using Ozark Ordnance ammo for this test. I have been looking for any other of the major manufacturers, but I cannot find any in any of my local gun shops. Okay, some final thoughts on the ARAK 21. Initially, I started having some problems with it. The manufacturer was very good working with me, trying to figure out what the issues were. They sent me a couple different replacement parts to see if that would sort the problems out, and when it didn't, they actually replaced the whole upper. They definitely stand behind their product. The new upper has been 100% reliable. I've not had any issues with it. I had a couple of failures for the bolt to lock open on empty. That could be that the gas setting was not set properly for the ammo I was shooting. The bolt may not have been coming back far enough. Also could have been some old magazines that just didn't have enough spring pressure to lift the bolt catch in time. That said, I'm very happy with it. I do like a lot of stuff about it. It's not 100% perfect, but for the I'm happy with what I got for the money.